We all want to be special, don't we? We all want to be interesting because it has many important things that it does for our lives, like make us interesting to our romantic interests. So, how do we convince people that we're interesting? Because let's face it, nobody in this room is interesting. For God's sakes, you're watching a high school speech and debate tournament. And you might be one of the judges evaluating me, and come on, there'd gotta be a better teaching position than this for you. Or maybe you're one of the competitors glowering because you didn't make all the finals you wanted to. It's okay, Seth. You're still the cutest debater in my heart. But in reality, you don't actually have to spice up your life. All you need to do to make people think you're interesting is to sort of spin it the right way. And as we're in Germany, I'm sure Frau Merkel could teach us a few good lessons, but she's not available today, so I'll be doing it. But indeed, to persuade the crowd you're interesting, all you need is the gift of gab. And I will show you 3 easy ways to use said gift of gab to interest people with yourself without actually changing yourself at all. Now, one way to make yourself more interesting would be to marry a celebrity. This way, they infuse their fame into you worse than any ravaging disease that they might transmit to their husband, except for Britney Spears, but we'll get to her in a second. I would like to start with Britney, but less than Britney, I would actually like to talk about K-Fed, Kevin Federline, her once husband. Now, for those of you who don't know who Kevin Federline is, although I don't know who you are, Kevin Federline was once the white trash background dancer of Britney Spears' show, and he was a bachelor. And now he's a white trash ex-background dancer who is now Britney Spears' divorcee. So, indeed, he hasn't changed a lot, but suddenly his life has become so much more interesting. Indeed, now that he's gained 30 pounds, he's on the cover of all the tabloids that say, Kevin Federline really lets it go, and somewhere Elizabeth Taylor is really mad because she's just obese and nobody cares. But indeed, Kevin Federline, once a nobody, once just a country bumpkin, by marrying Britney Spears upped his interest level from low-level moron to high-profile low-level moron. So indeed, we can see that marrying a celebrity is an easy way to up your interest level and just persuading people with the gift of spin. Another way that you can make your life much more interesting is to go on a reality television show, because they'll just make your life interesting for you. You don't even have to do anything. Now, who watches American Idol? Okay, that's weak. But fine, I'll tell you about it. So, and as an avid watcher of American Idol, a singing competition, a televised singing competition held in America, I can tell you that I've got my favorite contestants. And one of my favorite contestants from this season was David Hernandez. Does anybody know who that is? Okay, I got the girl, I got it, okay. So, David Hernandez went on the show, so cute, so nice, and great voice. So he's got all these things going for him in the singing competition, and then they find out he's a gay stripper. Ooh. Okay, so clearly in America this is a big deal, because all the Canadians are like, yeah, so's our coach. And so... But not you, Aisha, it's not you. So, indeed, as the show continues, more and more media hype is pressured on the show to kick him off because he once worked in this bar. And as it turns out, the bar is like such a low-profile kind of thing. Basically, it sounds like he, handed out drinks with his shirt off. And again, Seth, this is something you do every Friday night at my house, so it's not really that big of a deal. But indeed, they spun it to make it sound like he was like an indentured servant at some gay prostitution house in Thailand, working to buy himself out of slavery to Henry Clay the abolitionist. I don't know, but they spun it to be just as interesting as such. So he went from being, low-level, not that interesting gay, to being very super scandalous gay. And indeed, just by being on a reality television show, the gift of gab spun him the right way. And the third easiest way to make yourself more interesting with the gift of gab is that of simply writing a fake memoir. And this is very popular in America, just like all of these things. Now, when you write your memoirs, usually you write about your own life. But what if your life is so boring that nobody would ever want to read about it? Well, that's a problem many Americans have. Indeed, we have James Frey, who wrote about the harrowing story of him overcoming his drug addiction to cocaine, only to find out that it was based on his experiences going cold turkey on cigarettes. burn. And then we have the case of Mildred. I won't say her last name for her own protection. Mildred was a little white woman who lived in Maine. She never left Maine. She always lived there her whole life. Very good Protestant woman. Writes this superb novel about being a Jew in the Holocaust who was raised by wolves and saved from Hitler by these animal beasts and then became like a Wolverine goddess. Okay, she's like an old lady. She's like taking Prozac or something. So like, what the heck is her writing this memoir? But indeed, her spinning this memoir to be so interesting, to be so cool, made her interesting without her having to actually change herself. Simply with the gift of gab, she persuaded people to thinking she was more interesting. So ladies and gentlemen, don't jump out of your seats and try to be something different. Go on leading your boring, menial lives, because you don't have to convince people you're interesting by actually doing such. You just need to spin it the right way. And indeed, with the ways I've shown you today, it should be quite simple. Seth, I'll see you 5 minutes afterwards in the back. Thank you.